Wulf-Man from Blumhouse is out in theaters. Did I think it was worth sinking my teeth into, or did it leave me snarling in disappointment? Keep watching to find out what I think about this latest reimagining of this classic movie monster. I'm Admondo from Not of This Realm, where we talk about comic books, movies, television, and action figures inspired by the realms of superheroes, sci-fi, horror, and fantasy. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. We hope you enjoy the video and consider liking it as well as subscribing to Not of This Realm. Before I get started with my thoughts on Wulf-Man, I want to let you know that there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen Wulf-Man, stop right here and go watch it. I'll be here when you get back. Unlike most horror movies released in January that are generally considered to be disappointments, I actually think Wulf-Man is very good and enjoyable with plenty of good scares. Will it win everybody over? Well, it all depends on what your expectations are for this movie. If you are looking for a more traditional, faithful take on the Wulf-Man, then this will probably leave you disappointed. But if you approach it as a body horror monster movie, then you'll have a better chance of enjoying Wulf-Man. I'll start off my review with what I liked about Wulf-Man and then go into its weaker points with some thoughts on what I think could have been done better. What I liked most about Wulf-Man is that it gives us a better idea of what the transformation is like from the point of view of the person changing. It's a concept that I think grounded it in reality and was executed very well through the visual effects, sound design, and camera work. Once loving father and husband Blake Lovell, played by Christopher Abbott, is infected after being scratched by a humanoid creature in the woods, his body and his perception of reality starts changing. The camera tilts and sways to give us a sense of the disorientation he's feeling. His dimly lit childhood home gradually becomes more bright and vibrant. Then he loses the ability to clearly communicate with his family, and even their appearance alters from his point of view. I think it's a smart and inventive addition to the werewolf mythos to have us see these experiences from the point of view of the person transforming, in contrast to what the people around him are experiencing. I have to say that Abbott does a superb job in this role as a caring father and husband. The bond he has with his daughter, played by Matilda Firth, is so sincere. It makes losing himself to this infection all the more tragic as it transforms him into an unrecognizable monster that threatens the lives of those he loves most and wants to protect. The story written by Corbett Tuck and director Leigh Whannell effectively builds on this psychological and physical transformation to create some very tense and genuinely scary moments. Like when he starts gnawing on his grossly infected arm, which leaves his wife Charlotte, played by Julia Garner, understandably shocked and terrified. There's also a scene later in Wulf-Man where Charlotte expects the now fully transformed Blake to be hiding upstairs. The tension builds as she slowly steps back away from them, and we expect Blake to be in the dark hallway beside her. But then the camera cuts to his daughter and we instead see him crouching behind her. I also enjoyed how Whannell threw in a Saw reference, since he acted in and co-wrote it, by having Blake's Wulf-Man chew off his own foot to get out of a bear trap. These are just some examples of what I think are good, well-earned scares in the movie. Blake's drastically changing behavior and appearance results in some incredible and grotesque makeup, practical effects, and sound design as his nails come off to make room for claws, his bones shift, and jaw breaks. It evokes the spirit of other body horror movies like The Fly from 1986 or Slither. His final transformation and the moments leading up to it are probably my favorite part of the movie. The final design of the Wulf-Man is sure to be divisive among audiences and especially werewolf aficionados. In my opinion, the look of the quote-unquote Wulf-Man suits the context of the movie. In this universe, the condition is referred to as the face of the wolf by Native Americans because that's the best way they could describe what's happening to those afflicted with this disease. Instead of a supernatural curse, this is a degenerative disease that alters the mind and body, much like the rage virus that infected people in 28 Days Later, the lichens that are the result of villagers being experimented on in Resident Evil Village, and to an extent the clickers in The Last of Us whose minds are hijacked by cordyceps. Granted, I don't think Wulf-Man fully realizes its concept as well as these examples do. The filmmakers could have emphasized the distinction between a curse and an infection in a couple of different ways. While Blake is unconscious, Charlotte could be reading notebooks or listening to recordings left by his father explaining how this infection essentially deteriorates a person's mind and alters their perception of reality. This would make sense because at the beginning of the movie, there is a very tense and frightening scene where a younger Blake and his father encounter a Wulf-Man in the woods while hunting. Afterwards, we learn that his father knew about the creature and took down notes of their experience in a notebook. To further highlight this idea, I would have liked to have seen Blake during his transformation really freak out over how his wife and daughter become almost unrecognizable to him, as if they're the ones changing. That and their inability to communicate with each other, as well as his deteriorating mental state, is what would cause his extremely aggressive behavior. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, if that's the case, why even name this movie Wolf-Man? It's a valid question, and I agree with other reviews that I've seen and read that think the movie would be better received if it had another title. I also agree with the general consensus that the theme of generational trauma is very heavy-handed and takes time and focus away from other themes like sickness, isolation, and losing yourself mentally and physically to a degenerative disease, which is something we all dealt with just a few years ago. There's also not a lot of chemistry between Blake and Charlotte. Julia Garner feels underutilized in this role. I would have liked to have seen her and Blake get into a heated, emotionally charged argument about how frustrated they are in their current situation to really make us believe that these two genuinely loved each other at one point. Or maybe the scene with Charlotte talking to Blake as he lies in bed could have been more cathartic, with her expressing that she either still loves him very deeply or feels like they've drifted too far apart but still cares for him. I can understand how Wolf-Man won't live up to a lot of Werewolf fans' expectations, since this is a very different interpretation of the werewolf story we're used to. The slower pace, low body count, and the design of the Wolf-Man definitely won't win many people over. I totally get it. Werewolves are my favorite monster too. We made a video about my favorite werewolf comic books and a review of NECA's ultimate Kessler wolf action figure based on an American werewolf in London. If you would like to watch those, you can check them out right now at our channel page, or click on the links in the description and at the end of the video. Is Wolf-Man a good monster movie? Yeah, it had some very good, well-crafted scares. I enjoyed the body horror, the aspect of losing yourself because of this infection, and the permanence of it. Is it a good Wolf-Man movie? Kinda. It depends on how you approach it. What worked for me is thinking of Wolf-Man as a monster movie along the lines of The Fly from 1986 or Slither. On a scale with one loose tooth being the lowest and one severed foot being the highest, I give Wolf-Man 3 fingernails and a broken jaw. It's a very interesting, grounded take with some worthwhile additions to werewolf lore, excellent makeup, great visuals, superb sound design, and plenty of good scares. What are your thoughts on Wolf-Man? We'd love to know what you think worked or didn't work in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in comic books, movies, shows, and action figures inspired by the realms of superheroes, sci-fi, horror, and fantasy, then you should definitely subscribe to our channel. I'm Admando from Not of This Realm. This review was written by me and edited by the amazing Ostra Vixen. Thank you so much for watching, we truly appreciate it. Be safe and take care.